Hello Team FD and welcome back to Sunday Vibes, where you send us your questions and we ramble and ramble and ramble on about them for 40 minutes plus now, because that's what you want, all right?
Lucky people.
You asked for it, we're delivering. Joining me this week, it's Doug, aka Per Guardiola, and Patrick Van Straten, who has his shag pile out. You're welcome.
Yeah, multiple shag piles coming down here.
Hell, my chest feels so childish.
Normal.
In comparison. Look at that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I am a freak of nature.
Man God.
You don't want to see me with my top off.
You're severe.
You really don't.
Take your top off. What? That's a HR issue. Anyway, moving on to the first question of the week, which comes from Nazmol Tonni. And they've asked, who has been the best surprise at the start of this season? I guess player, club, both apply.
A few surprises, yeah.
Doug, want to kick us off? Who's the first person that springs to mind? Or
I'd go for Luke Shaw, just because, not like I've ever doubted his abilities as a player, but at points last season, it was obviously looking pretty bleak for him. He had a manager who was publicly sort of shaming him, saying that he was the brains behind his movement, which I thought was one of the rudest things you could probably ever say to a player. And then he announced this week that he almost lost his leg in that tackle versus PSV a couple of years ago. Which just shows the severity of that injury that he came back from. And it did take him a while to come back. He didn't look quite himself, but he said that missing out on the World Cup squad, even though he was never likely to go, really spurred him on over the summer. He went to Dubai. Yep. Looks like he's lost about 2.5 stone. I'm not just taking the piss there, he looks like a new man. And he started the season really, really well. He's played every minute so far. He's got that goal, looks full of confidence, full of running on that left-hand side, really linking up well with Lukaku in the last game I saw against Burnley. And this is a big season for him because he's now been at Old Trafford for 4 years and he's never actually made 20 appearances for the club in one season in all competitions.
Well on his way.
On his way, exactly. So a really promising start. It's not just his goal either. He got 3.1 tackles, he's averaging 3.1 tackles and interceptions, 2 shots and 1.3 key passes per 90. Which is really impressive from a left back, especially in a team that is struggling at the
the particularly down that left hand side.
Yeah, big time.
It's been swapped out that role pretty judiciously, the left wing, hasn't it?
100%. Although him and Sanchez looked like they had the beginning of a partnership emerging in that Burnley game. Admittedly, it's only one game. Sanchez got that great ball into Lukaku for his first. But yeah, really promising signs from Luke Shaw, and I'm pleased for him because I think he's probably the most naturally talented left back that England have. He just needs a run of games and to stay fit.
Yeah, I think Luke Shaw's a great answer. He actually said in that article where he was talking about losing his leg as well that had they flown him home, he very likely would have lost his leg because of the blood clots due to the pressure in the aeroplane. Ashley Williams also said something similar. He had against, was it Mexico, that he had the doctors discovered like his punctured lung last minute, and if he'd flown home then he would have been in deep. You never really think about footballers facing life or death consequences in a game, do you? But it's
like
harrowing when it does happen.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed Luke Shaw at the start of the season, and what is great about his return is that he doesn't seem to have lost a yard of pace either. No. It doesn't seem his right leg seems as strong as it was prior to the injury, because coming back is one thing, but coming back the same player is a big achievement and a big plus, particularly for England, and hopefully we'll see him play against Spain and Switzerland, I believe. International break, proper clued up on it. Nice shot. Who are you going for? What team?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, it is very early in the season. I've been impressed by Lucas Moura.
Yes.
Early doors. I mean, look, it's no surprise that he's a very good player, but I think that while Harry Kane has been in poor form, and make no mistake, he has been in poor form, Lucas Moura pretty much carried that attack. Against Watford, Christian Eriksen didn't make a key pass. He had 4 shots all from outside the box. Harry Kane, I think, had a couple of shots.
Only one on target.
Which is crazy, really. And Lucas Moura was the one who looked like a danger. He's always going beyond Kane. He can beat somebody. His pace is outrageous. He's pretty two-footed, actually.
Yeah.
And he seems to have adapted. Now that he's had that adaptation period where he's kind of got used to the Pochettino system, which apparently it looks like it does take a while to learn. Yeah. He looks absolutely great.
He's electric against United.
Yeah, and I'm quite excited. I'm quite excited about a good season from him.
Do you think he'll manage to stay in that first 11 when Son comes back?
I think that there's going to be some rotation. To be honest, if I were Pochettino at this point, I would probably look at my easier fixtures on the docket, and I'd say let's drop Kane.
Yes.
For those,
Kane.
Get him
full rest.
He needs to get fit.
I think in the last game, 0 shots on target from 2 attempts, and the game prior to that still only 2 shots, but 1 shot on target against Newcastle. So 4 shots across 2 games, that would have been 10 in his pomp last season, wouldn't it?
Well, the interesting thing though is that he's still shooting almost as much from inside the box, but not as much from outside. And so, but it doesn't look like it's a coaching issue. It looks like he doesn't have the pace to go past somebody, which he used to, or at least to create that extra yard.
Jaded.
Like he just doesn't look right. And so I think he needs that rest. And as we know, if Moura's really performing well from that right wing role, then Son can play up front. I think that's
really
a pretty
well
exciting front line.
Lucas Moura, now Tottenham Hotspur's record top goal scorer at Old Trafford in the Premier League era.
After getting 2.
With 2 goals.
Wow.
Yes, I think he ended a run of 22 consecutive, defeats or draws, so without victory. Okay, I'm going to go for Watford, which actually segues nicely into our next question, which is from Aman Daliwal, who's asked, can Watford keep up their good form? And what I've liked about Watford at the start of this season is their defensive solidity. So they deploy a 4-2-2-2, but the nominal wide men, sort of Hughes and more often than not Pereira, tuck in behind the strikers. And then you have Decore and Capu really guarding that back four, and that is a big old wall to get around in them pair. Opta actually has them down as the most narrow team in the Premier League.
Interesting.
So they're really dangerous, going quite direct. They also put together, I think they put together the 3rd fewest passing sequences below 10. So they're strong down that spine, very direct as well. But only conceding 8.5 shots per game, which is the 3rd best, and not far behind Manchester City and Liverpool, I believe, who top the charts. They're also winning the 2nd most turnovers after Tottenham Hotspur. So we talk about that press. We love Poch's press. We love Jurgen's press. Gracia's brought his own variation to it, and it's a little bit more pragmatic, it's a little bit thuggish. Troy Deeney said after the game against Tottenham where they won 2-1 that we have so many lumps in our side that no one likes playing against us, and I think he'd probably have to concede he's the biggest lump of all, despite, I think, losing 2 stone. But he was brilliant in that game against Tottenham. A little bit inconsistent, but it'd be interesting to see how his season pans out, because you'd imagine, I thought he'd have got incrementally sort of worse, but we've seen a little spike at the start of this season because he's another one of those players that's probably not going to age the best, let's say, just because of his Samata type. But been really impressed with Pereira. He's finally coming good after that 30 million move from 13. That was, did say that very clearly, from Juventus. He's been involved in 6 goals at the start of this campaign. Or is that Holebas?
That many?
Holebas, no, Holebas has been
Holebas.
involved in 5, and I think that is a league high. Holebas didn't know he was Greek until we did a bit of research on him, so that was certainly interesting to me. He was at Olympiacos, wasn't he?
He was at Olympiacos, and then he did a year
on the bounce.
He was at Roma.
He did a year at Roma.
And he was in Germany at
I've
one point.
always liked Holebas, and I think some of the things that he said recently kind of allude to maybe his good form and the form of players in that squad in general. This is the only season since Watford came up since 2015 where they've kept the same manager, where the same manager's been able to build on work he's done the prior season. And I think the only change in playing staff they've had as well is Ben Foster in goal, who's been a very solid addition. So I know they have sort of the highest average age, and that might take its toll as the season goes on, and they've had some easier fixtures, let's say, barring Palace and Spurs at the start of the season. But it's looking good for a mid-table finish, I would say, and maybe an unlikely push for the Europa League, although that's that stretch. We'll see if they can strengthen in January.
I definitely feel a bit embarrassed, because I actually tipped them to be sort of in the relegation threat.
Incorrectly.
We had a look at their summer signings, weren't completely wowed over, but some players that have been there a little while seem to have sort of really hit their top form. Like Will Hughes was always a really promising player at Derby, was supposedly one of England's brightest talents, played really well for the under-21s for quite a while, had an bad injury at Watford last year, having got up a little head of steam. Now he's coming to the side, looks really promising. And then, as Chris mentioned, they've got a massive range of different midfield talent that seems to be blending quite well at the moment. Cathcart started the season really well. He was a Man United academy player, I believe, and then I think he had a stint at Leicester, and now he's at Watford. He's been there for a few years, looks quite solid. Kabasele's been a good signing. They just look like they've they've started from a solid base, and their key components of their attack are coming together quite nicely as well. Pereira's playing nicely. Deeney and Gray seem to have found a slightly... you wouldn't naturally put them together because they're quite similar, Gray being a slightly faster player. But they seem to have really gelled quite nicely together. So I think all the signs are there that Watford could have a promising year, but I don't think they should get over, too blown away by their start to the season. I'm sure it will level out about 10th or 9th, but it's good stuff.
The stat with Pereira was the most goals he's ever scored in his 10-year career is 6.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting a little bit confused. While on loan at Juve in 2014-15. So I think he's, safe to say, he's probably going to contribute more than 6 this season. 3 goals in 4 appearances, 2.3 shots a game, 2 dribbles, 1 key pass per night. So a real creative force which Watford have maybe been lacking, especially since Richarlison's first half of the season last season and since his departure. So he'll have to kind of come up good in his absence.
Yeah, Pereira also hasn't played over 1,500 minutes, which is roughly about 16 games. Full games.
Maybe pointing towards the fact that the second half struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Since that same season that Chris was just talking about, again, that 14-15 season. So whether he can keep this level of form up, it's probably unlikely, and whether he can stay on the pitch for that long, because his body's not used to it as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
What have you made of Watford, Pat?
Look, I'd like to watch more of them, but I think they've been what we kind of know. Like the manager has always put together strong defensive sides, and this season so far they're the second best in the league by expected goals conceded. It goes Liverpool and then it goes Watford. They're just ahead of Man City in terms of expected goals conceded. On the other hand, the attack I think ranks the 11th or 12th best in the league. So I wouldn't expect this to go forward. You talked about Pereira's numbers there. They're not great. So I wouldn't expect him to get a huge number of assists.
11, 12 shots a game it was.
What, that they're taking a game?
Yeah.
It's okay. Like I think they'll probably trend positive in terms of shots taken. But when you look at players like Pereira getting as many goals they're getting at the moment with the number of shots they're getting, when you think that he's getting 1 key pass a game, like these are not promising numbers for the attack. However, at this point they've pretty much guaranteed their safety, which is excellent. And they might well do kind of what Watford did last season, which is have a very strong first half of the campaign and then coast a little bit for the rest of the year.
And I suppose their attacking players won't have the best numbers in terms of, I think one's probably pretty solid for an attacking player at Watford, considering they don't put together those passes, considering their build-up play it is a lot more direct. I mean, I suppose that makes them a little bit more predictable and teams may be able to adapt to that, but you'd imagine a lot of their goals are going to be based on Deeney winning flick-ons or Andre Gray picking up a second ball. It's not going to be very attractive at Vicarage Road, I'd imagine, but getting the right results at the start of the season.
But also their run really interestingly. They're sort of in a similar model to Chelsea in that they're really not afraid of changing managers. I think they've gone through, don't quote me on this, I think they've gone through 7 this decade. Yeah, it's the Pozzi family. And they had Quique Sanchez Flores, and they went to Mazzari, then Marco Silva, and then obviously Grazia. So, that's 4 managers in the space of 5 years, I think. And they've, punched above their weight in the Premier League at times, I think. They did they did quite well in the League Cup one year and then sucked Quique Sanchez Flores at the end of that year. I thought that was quite harsh, but they keep on churning out reasonable managers.
as well.
Jukanovic
they keep
was there
finding
before.
good managers, don't they? Which is always a good sign. It's just the relationship they have when they get there. I mean, as you say, the revolving door's working well. They're like, do you remember when Swansea went through that period where they were hiring consistently well? They're like a turbo Swansea at the minute when they have like Sousa and Rodgers.
Yeah, they've got more money, haven't they?
Yeah. Interesting, yeah. But that's our thoughts on Watford. Where do you think Watford will finish? Never thought I'd end on that sentence in a Sunday Vibes. Let us know in the comments below. Time for quick fire questions then, guys. And the first question comes from Will Booth, and he's asked, who's your favourite Premier League player to watch outside of the top 6? Fun question like this. Doug, you going to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll kick things off. I always enjoy, just because I think he looks like he's having a great time doing it, Jamie Vardy in the Premier League. Playing on the last defender, he's absolutely rapid. You just know what you're going to get. He doesn't really get involved in play that much.
Tackles like Joe.
Yeah, exactly. He's a proper well, he's not really a throwback. He's like a new breed of just someone that you would never expect to get in there, but he's got in there on pure pace and finishing ability, and I love to see that. Not the best footballer, but very useful, effective weapon. And then in the same team, I think Ndidi's a really good player to watch. Gets involved in everything. can defend exceptionally well, can cover ground. He runs like an express Rolls Royce. He's brilliant, covered the ground. Gets forward a fair bit as well. So yeah, my two would be Ndidi and Vardy.
Is that express train?
Yeah, express train, but it's an express Rolls Royce.
Joined with Rolls Royce.
My two football cliches.
Never seen an express Rolls Royce before. And Sean, you got any express Rolls Royce up your sleeves?
Yeah, Yves Bissouma. He hasn't played that much so far, but when he has played, he's been outrageous.
You've loved him at the start.
Well,
of the season,
I just like I liked him last season. Like I like players who win the ball back and then just like burst through challenges in midfield, and he has huge defensive output and huge dribble output, which is really rare and really fun. And Felipe Anderson just looks like he's one of those guys where it's like the ball never really gets away from him. He just always looks great.
One of the few redeemable features about the start of West Ham season, right? He looks like he's going to be worth the money. I like Arnautovic in that side as well. I think direct. He's still shouldering a lot of the responsibility for West Ham. I mean, even still being in games at the start of the season, very unfortunate not to score more against Arsenal. I think, who else is that? I've enjoyed watching Sarri as well.
Yeah, Sarri's good.
Most people in that Fulham side have been interesting to watch.
Tom Kearney's a lot of fun.
Fulham as a team. Tom Kearney's quite cultured. Jean Moutinho for Wolves at the start of the season.
He's played really well.
I think we thought he was just going to be in there as an experienced head, but he's really dictating play from the base of midfield, averaging around 70 passes per game, averaging around 1.5 key passes, which is pretty good from the position he's in there, similar to Jorginho's numbers last season. So he's adjusted to life in the Premier League really well. Talking of players who can do a bit of everything, because that's satisfying to watch, isn't it? Aaron Moy as well at Huddersfield last season. I've not watched a lot of the Terriers this season, but he's a player that can put in an absolute cruncher. And then little Cruyff spread the play, which always very satisfying to watch.
Fantastic head of
hair. Probably loads of it. Wan-Bissaka at the start of the season, Zaha, bottom half.
There's quite a lot of talent there, though.
Each team has a match winner that could probably play at a much higher level. Such is the level of talent in the Premier League now, which is what makes it the best league in the world. Anyway, moving on. Next question, and this is from Meath Handa. Will the UEFA Nations League help revive boring international fixtures? A very quick one in this one then, lads. I think it will be pretty meaningless until we get to the point where the 4 clubs who can qualify for Euro 2020, who couldn't quite get in prior, are competing for those places. Or is it 4 places? So it'll be X amount of clubs competing for those 4 places.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is interesting. I think it will be good for young players from each country to play against opposition. So for people in the A League, for example, our players will play against Spain and Croatia. I think that's a better test than going to, I don't know, play Switzerland on a Tuesday night or Slovakia on a Thursday. It's a better standard of opposition. That can only be a good thing, but I don't think anyone's too bothered really.
Switzerland and Slovakia, 2 games we've found historically quite difficult.
You know what I mean. Like a better standard, I think it will be better exposure for those players to play, better players. It can only be a good thing.
You don't care at all, do you?
No.
Yeah, and now for the question that I meant to read out. This one's from John Alec, and he's asked if you could swap one team to a different league, he's put, who would it be and why? So, who would we bring over to the Premier League, I guess?
I think last year, not necessarily this year, I'd really like to see a season or a few more games of Napoli versus Man City. So bring Napoli over.
You're bringing a whole team over?
I'm bringing the whole team over.
Fair play.
Wait, I thought that was the question. Swap one team to a different league.
Oh, one team. Sorry, I thought player in my head.
No, get Napoli over.
Wrong.
Napoli versus Man City on a regular basis. Napoli versus Man United, just 2 contrasting styles. I think that would have been really interesting. This year, who's impressed? I think
those games were quality, weren't they?
Yeah, in the Champions League they were class. This year, I don't know who else in there. I think I'd love to see Barcelona consistently come up against the likes of Klopp and Guardiola and Pochettino. But yeah, we'll see.
I think I probably put Bayern in Ligue 1 because then PSG have a rival, so that would actually be interesting. And then in Germany, you'd get all these clubs that are buying interesting young players and being creative with their managerial choices, actually having a shot at winning something.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah, so that way you can kind of fix both leagues.
It's a much cleverer way of doing it.
Well done, Van Straten. Very good.
Sorting out 2 leagues with one team.
It'd be fun just to put like Man United in Scotland though, or whatever, just so that like Celtic would cannibalise all their support and United would never win another significant trophy.
Couldn't have put it better myself, Patrick Van Straat. And there are quick fire questions for this week. Get yours in the comments below for next week. Let's move on to personal questions. Joining me as ever, it's my boy, it's Patrick Van Straten and his immaculate beard.
Cheers.
Sometimes.
Got a brush.
Nick James Wayne, Wayno, Mick Wayne, Batman James Wayne's brother, Wayne.
They have a brother. Spanish newspaper.
Hello Team FD and welcome back to the 12th Man, where you take us on at Sky Fantasy Football in a bid to win big boy prizes.
What do you boys think of Rafa's tactics against the top clubs? Well, Chris, thank you for asking. I'm just going to stare at the screen, no reason why.
Tell me where you've seen herons and flamingos in Miami.
Apparently there's a lot of flamingos.
I doubt that.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Oh God, that's actually really painful.
Jack Kay, he has a Liverpool badge as his Avi, but his app name is Celtic. Pick a team, you
Generous friend of mine.
First question comes from Jamie Wilkes and it is a good one, lads. Who is the best dancer in the office?
Carlin. Straight in.
Kieran.
Kieran.
There's only really one
Kieran's
option.
genuinely an excellent dancer. A natural dancer.
He's got fantastic rhythm, doesn't he?
But it's not just his natural aptitude. He is a studier
student,
of the art.
a student of the art of movement.
He goes on how-to videos on YouTube and he will learn all the latest.
I think he can do the single ladies dance, can't he?
He could probably.
Not in heels, though.
Wouldn't
Not
put
in
it-
heels, I
Wouldn't put it
imagine.
past him.
Obaseki's got moves.
Yeah.
Naturally,
I've actually
he's
never
got
seen-
natural
I've
rhythm.
never seen you dance.
Maybe you will one day.
You strike me as a bit of a ballroom guy.
Nah.
Just good, strong upper frame, authoritative.
Holding
Always
it
going to
all
go
together.
around, always doing the leading.
I do the full dirty dancing. I get lifted in the air by Savile Berry.
Don't get me started on dirty
He
dancing.
throws me in the air. The only guy in the office.
I
who could do
reckon
it.
when he gets past a certain BPM, Pato, if it's too upbeat and cheerful, I'm out.
Yeah, I just want to dance to Elliott Smith
Like
songs.
the Argentine tango, the really dramatic ones. They're like,
Yeah.
Do you guys think you're quite good? Because I think I'm quite good, but I've seen myself dance on a video and I'm awful.
you're a proper dad dancer.
No.
You
come
are.
on.
You're such an old man sometimes. Look, he clicked. He did the double click. You're definitely not done.
There's a lot of flow.
You know if you have rhythm. You know if you're like on beat. Like
I just don't think I do. I think I'm tone deaf.
that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like if you're not on beat, you're never really gonna get back from that.
Yeah.
I know I'm
I
on
try
beat.
my
I know I'm
hardest.
on beat, but I don't think I'm good at all.
Fair.
Right, so Carlin is the answer. Thank you for
Kieran.
sending it in, Jamie. That was tops. James Wayne from The Office sent in a personal question. Best way to have eggs? I think we've done this before. Poached.
Yeah, poached is a cracker.
Ooh.
I'm actually a classic for fried. What I think are really
scrambled,
overrated
mate.
is scrambled. I think is massively overrated.
Shut the up.
You have to put about 6 in there to get the same.
You're a fool!
You've gone wrong. They're all good.
You have to put about 6 in to get the same
You know what as
portion
well,
as the fried egg.
the right level of the hard boiled where it's just like squidgy in the middle. That is fucking sick.
Don't put milk in your scrambled eggs, just use
I
butter
agree- I
and then
agree with that.
turn the heat from the pan off halfway through cooking them and use the remaining heat to cook them out. Because what people do with scrambled eggs is they
Overheat them
murder them.
massively.
They're dry and they're really tight,
Horrible.
and then they make stupid statements like scrambled eggs are overrated.
But do you guys know what
the
I
best
mean?
treat is poached.
That if you fry 6 eggs and eat them,
Yeah,
you'll be
you've got-
fuller
you
than
feel
if you scramble 6 eggs and eat them.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
feel
want to see
are
the
a
portions
waste.
less
They're a
satisfactory.
waste.
Because
Yeah.
you're cooking off like less of the liquid in the egg, essentially.
Yeah. That's what pisses me off.
So what you're
scrambled.
looking-
I'm never
Value.
full enough.
What you look for in egg, is just like bang for buck.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I'm a feed to
Mate, just have a
get
raw
fuel
egg
man,
then.
and scrambled don't do it. for
Just
me.
crack a raw egg straight into your grill.
Dippy egg and
Pure
soldiers
protein.
is always class.
Yeah.
The egg is just fantastic.
The egg's an
Creation.
unparalleled
Real all-rounder,
piece of
yeah.
protein delivery.
It's the Cante.
Perfect
of-
for
of
any
the food
occasion.
world.
Yeah.
Poached egg, avocado toast. I'm a deal with it.
They know that. Next question is from Swaggerto. He's not been on in a little while. Are you guys the Swaggerto reflex? Are you guys superstitious? If so, what is it? I'll kick us off. I salute the magpies.
Do you?
Every
Salute
time.
them. Members of my
Yeah.
family do that as well.
1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for a girl, 4 for a boy and all that.
Yeah. My family will say, "Where's your mate?" if there's one magpie. I don't know why.
Because it's 1 for sorrow.
It must be that.
Yeah, because you're like, there's a magpie by
Right,
itself.
that makes a lot of sense.
Impending doom.
Right, you do this. Okay.
I saw 2 magpies the morning before I passed my driving test. Took 4 times to pass.
Wait,
So-
so two's for what? Two's for joy?
Two's for joy.
Right, not on that occasion, yeah.
So
Maybe there was
we
one
go.
you. No, that doesn't make sense.
I've only
Maybe
got-
one wasn't a magpie. It was just really dirty, like dirty pigeon.
Another blackbird that's been shat on. Right, what about you, Pep?
I try not to be like, because I was so religious for so long. Like when I got rid of that, I tried to cut all like supernatural nonsense out of my life. But I mean, there's still some remnants of that remain. You know, like I think that everyone has like some of that magical thinking, like, you know, on a plane where you're just like, I don't know, maybe there's a habit you have that makes you think the plane won't crash.
The turbulence will disappear if I shut the window.
Yeah, that kind of
I've only got one, but it's not really a superstition.
You believe in ghosts, you lying.
That's not my superstition though. That's very different from having. That's a different belief.
It's
Pow. Yeah,
I'll get
ghost
it.
pow.
It's horseshit.
Anyone
also.
wants to know a few stories? DM me. I've now got Instagram. Handle on screen now. But my superstition is I can't watch television on an odd number unless it's 5. So
On the
I have-
volume?
On the volume.
Yeah, on the volume. Right, I was going to say, if you can only watch channels going up to 5, then
No
wow,
BBC Two.
just fucking police.
So I can't watch.
cops.
I can't watch the volume on 33 or 37.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit like that.
It's weird, but I can't.
Yeah.
And sitting in a room
How
with an
bizarre.
open door as well.
But that's
Ooh.
an OCD, not superstition, right?
Right. Okay. But I don't think anything bad.
So will you answer the question?
I don't think anything bad's gonna happen if I watch it on 33. It grinds my gears.
His is a real one. Yours is you just believe in ghosts.
My
I do
friend,
believe in
Your
ghosts.
opinion's mental.
I do
my
believe
friend
in
Connell
ghosts.
has to be the last to leave a room, which is awkward, particularly at funerals
Sure.
or wakes.
How
you know
does he
what I
go
mean?
clubbing?
How does he go clubbing?
Interesting.
Christ.
Maybe he doesn't see it as a room.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like a formal setting or
Yeah,
if it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
at certain people's houses, but I always found that very weird.
That's
What's
really
your weirdest
weird.
habit? Let us know in the comments below. When did you become non-religious, by the way? Not to change the tone to serious, but
Sixth form, like year 12.
was there a
year 12
moment when
was-
you just thought this is nonsense?
I started doing philosophy. I did philosophy A level, and so I was like reading more about it and pretty much just like interrogating the beliefs I'd always had. Like I'd always kind of questioned and been a bit of a pain in the arse. But at that point I was just like, why do I believe all this? And I just kind of was like, I felt like I saw religion. It makes some people better people, but I think it makes a lot of people worse. And also just but to be honest, all that stuff, like you either believe there's a God or you don't, and like it's almost like one day I just didn't believe there was a God, and now to me when I look at the universe, it seems so clearly like not designed. It seems so clearly to be just like, you know, random chance and evolution, all these kind of things, these natural processes. I don't know.
Do you want to become a Jedi with me?
No.
Actual religion.
No.
I quite enjoy philosophy with
Fuck
Pat as a
those
little
nerds.
segment.
Yeah.
Let's include that regularly.
Maybe on like Sunday vibes after hours. You know,
After dark.
philosophy with Pat.
Get
Next,
Duke's DMs and he'll read you ghost story.
next and final question, and it's a doozy, comes from 3 Anns. And their question is, what habit annoys you the most?
Clicking of joints. James Wayne did a whole session yesterday in the office showing off about how many joints he could click, and he can do everything. And it was horrible.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Which,
yeah, there we go.
which click gets you the most?
The fingers, I think.
The
My sister
fingers.
does it all the time, and it pisses me off.
Grinds your
Anyways,
gears.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What grinds your gears, Van Straten?
No, you
Also,
go,
one-
you go next.
One,
You
yeah,
go
one
next.
thing, because you know, this week's Sunday Vibes is gonna be an hour and a half. I would say ingratitude. For all
Sure.
my flaws,
Yeah.
I'd like to think that I'm quite a fair bloke, and I feel like when people are, when pleases and thank yous are lacking, that really gets my back up.
see that.
Not holding doors open for people. That's a personal gripe. I'm actually not really prepared for this. I think that's probably a large part of it. I'll try and think of a little something else. While you're answering.
I have a lot of linguistic ones, but we can't really get into that. But a great many of those annoy me. Lateness, you know, from like
Tardiness,
friends.
yeah.
When you have a friend who's just consistently late, it's
When you've
it's
agreed
it's-
to meet up at a certain
Yeah,
time.
it's essentially them saying
time.
my time matters more than yours, and that's not really the way a friendship should proceed. Which is actually not dissimilar to the gratitude thing. Actually, it's fundamentally somebody thinking that like your time and your effort is worth less than theirs, which I think is really rude. And also, and on a similar note, sometimes if you're talking to somebody and then someone else talks to them and they immediately turn and just start talking to that person, I think no, you should make an effort to make the person you're talking to feel like you actually give a shit about what they're saying.
Or include them in the next conversation.
Yeah, I feel like that's just basic courtesy.
Yeah.
People who have a knack of making the conversation or drawing the conversation
back to themselves
as well. When it becomes me, when people are a little bit, have delusions of grandeur and just selfishness, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's kind of
all good things. All good points even.
A bit downbeat now, isn't it? Valid, but not the most uplifting note to end on. What really pisses you off? Let us know on Twitter. All our handles are on screen now. Anyhow, that is the end of the episode. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I believe Joe Tomlinson will be back from his season in Shagaloo next week. So there we go. He'll be back at it, and hope you enjoyed. What else is on our other properties, Doug?
Well, there's no football social because it's the international break. So why don't you go check out Friday's Continental Club on EFD? Why don't you go check out yesterday's Hot Takes on FD? And Kieran's comment show on EFD that we've gone live yesterday as well. That's always good fun.
Plug in. Astron, any final words?
Nah, just like, subscribe, all that stuff.
Message me about your ghost stories.
Don't do that.
Do that. That should be a section.
They're made up. They're nonsense.
What could Dougie's like ghost hunter name be? Do you remember Ghost Hunter?
Isn't he the Dragon Master?
The old Dragon Master. You're always a believer until you experience.
Bye.